Welcome to Walkouts and Knockouts, brought to you by the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And today we're bringing you the UFC 261 special. We got Miami's very own Jorge Masvidal taking on Kamaru Usman for the welterweight championship. 2 other title fights as well, which are just as exciting. Before we get to the fights, we actually have some fine gentlemen with us today. Somebody who's a little bit new. He's actually going to be watching this fight from his third eye. The host or podcast member of Curious Chimps, Nathaniel Perl. How you doing, my friend? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And of course, we got the fight master himself, the actual fighter, the number 1 unranked fighter in the world, Mr. Ariel Atias.
Man, you gotta stop spreading this propaganda. I appreciate you propping me up, brother, but you're gonna get me in trouble out here. How you doing, bro? How you guys doing?
Wonderful, man. I mean, great fight that we have to look forward to, right? It's a really stacked main card as far as names go, and 3 title fights, and all of the title fights are just as intriguing. I think all of the underdogs are live in all the 3 title fights. So let's get started right away with this main title fight. We have Kamaru Usman taking on Jorge Masvidal. And this is something that couldn't be 2 completely separate people at the same time, right? You have Jorge Masvidal growing up in the backyards of Miami, right? Fighting and basically with Kimbo Slice and all that back in the day. Going through, failing to get on the Ultimate Fighter in season 2. I was watching the failed interviews for that one. He actually failed to get in season 2, and he obviously got on a little bit later, taking the back road, fighting some WEC fights, then making the UFC, kind of just being a midline kind of guy, losing some weird decisions, and then turning things around for himself. So he kind of had a resurgence in his career. But if you go to Usman, it's just been kind of professionalism the whole time. Started wrestling as a sophomore in high school, made his way to a high school championship, made his way to a D2 championship in college as well. So he's a really great accredited wrestler. Didn't make the USA team, but after he didn't make the USA team, he decided to switch gears to MMA, and now he's 19-1. Right, that 1 loss could have easily been a win. He could easily have 0 losses, but 2 completely separate paths, 2 completely different fighters, a striker, a grappler. Right. Let's get to you, Ariel. How do you break this one down? Break this fight down for me.
Man, it's a super interesting fight. I love the stylistic clash. I love all the beef. I love everything that surrounds it. Man, I just think it's a tough fight for our guy Jorge Masvidal, as much as we all want to see him win. Not that he can't win, but I mean, Usman is just a monster, man. He's got elite level wrestling, absolutely devastating from top position. He can just, press you against the fence and wear you down. We saw a lot of that in the first fight against Masvidal. He's also improved tremendously as a striker over the years. Though Jorge should have the edge in that area, right? Like Masvidal is a very good striker, has great combos. He's a very, very good boxer. I think it'll be hard though for him to be able to put combinations together against Usman, because Usman will be able to break that rhythm up with the threat of the takedown and just taking away the distance and all of that stuff. Yeah, but I think for Jorge, he's going to have to stick and move a lot. I think it's going to be tough for him, but keep the fight at distance, work behind that jab. He has a very good jab. Throw his kicks behind his hands, right? He got caught in the first fight, I believe, in the first round, probably a couple other times, I can't even remember, where he didn't disguise the kicks. Like he led with a low kick or whatever, and then Usman just caught it and put him on his butt. And, it's tough because Usman is just a monster on top. Like you can't get that guy off of you, and he's got really devastating ground and pound. We've seen that. It's a very tough fight for Jorge, for sure. You're muted, brother.
I can't hear him.
There we go. My bad. But you hit everything right. I'm going to steal your phrase, and you said you hit a nail on the head, right? He used the kicks too much last time, and that's what forced him to get taken down. This fight's a little bit different. Obviously, it's a rematch from the last fight. Last fight, he didn't have the gas tank like before. But Nathaniel, I want to get to you on this. And Brian Young saying, I want to appreciate you joining us, saying we all want to see Usman win. I mean, yeah. Not really. I mean,
Brian, always the contrarian.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, Udonis Haslam sticking up for Jorge Masvidal. So if you do like him, I like him. That's what I'm going to go with. Nathaniel, do you have anything to add about how do you see this fight going down?
Listen, I think Usman's going to win this fight, but I'm going to play devil's advocate. Jorge Masvidal only had 6 days notice from the last fight. And that's a big factor. We all know that when a fighter takes a fight on short notice, the cardio, not so great. And when you're fighting a machine like Usman, you got to be on your A game. So Look, I think Usman's going to do what he does best. He's going to work him, grind him down, take him down, ground and pound, all that jazz and all that stuff. But if Jorge can keep it on the feet and work on, like Ariel said, stick and move and throw some kicks after his punches and setting up nice combos, we might have a very interesting night. Not saying it's going to happen, but there could be an upset here. We can't count out Jorge Masvidal out on a full training camp.
There has been shown a lot of times through Jorge Masvidal's career just how good of a fighter he is, right? He had some really crappy split decision losses, especially against Ally Akinta, which I still to this day cannot believe how he lost that fight. But he's shown that he's able to stuff the takedown. He used kind of this really street savvy kind of fight. I mean, he started fighting in the streets and he kind of molded that into a UFC game. And you'll see when he's fighting, he kind of puts combos in the air in front of him and figures things out. He sets traps really well. And the gas tank was a big part of why he lost that last fight so handily, because he couldn't explode out of those positions. He wasn't able to sprawl as well as he wanted to. He had to go out presenting his hips and going out for it all basically in the first round because he knew he was going to gas out by the other rounds anyways. So coming into this fight, it's much different because now he has, like you said, that full gas tank. He's going to be able to do a lot of the takedown defense that he has. He has phenomenal takedown defense. And when he's up against the cage, it's even better. So I think you're like you said, he is a live underdog. I think, Usman is a dominant champion, but I think Jorge Masvidal presents a lot of problems for him because if Masvidal starts walking Usman down, and Usman, doesn't have the pressure like he normally does because the simple jab and maybe the hook doesn't really work because you have somebody in front of you that's a much better striker. That could be something that might go the opposite way for Usman. I'm not saying that it will. I'm not saying that's something that's happened before. But with somebody that's takedown defense is as good as Jorge Masvidal's, his craftiness is as good. He's able to, get at least the 50-50 positions in the clinch, get that single underhook and try to explode out of it sometimes. I think he does have a live shot at winning this fight, but I want to get to this question because I think we're all in agreement that in some point in this fight, Kamaru Usman is going to take Jorge Masvidal down. Nathaniel, I'm going to start with you with this one, bro. How long do you think Jorge can keep this fight standing before he gets taken down?
And that's it, though. It's scary because Usman seems to get better and better and fat and more and stronger as the fight progresses, and his takedowns are just going to be relentless. So let's say he stuffs the first few takedowns. Can he keep that pace up? The Usman pace is phenomenal. Look at the Colby fight, and then look at even Burns. That the pace is just mind blowing. I don't know how anyone can have cardio like that. And so, yeah, he may be able to stuff the first few takedowns when they're both fresh, but if he doesn't put the pressure on Usman right away and take control of the octagon, I don't know, man. Round 2, 3, 4 might just be Usman's game. I think Jorge's is most dangerous in the first round. Second, third is going to start to decline as Usman seems to just go ramp it up, and that pace just gets more and more intense in your face, and he's just going to grind him down, in my opinion. But his best chances in that first round to just really set the pace of the fight.
Yeah, he's going to have to come out dictating what he wants to do, right? Because I think whoever dictates the pace of this fight is going to control it. So, Ariel, I'm going to let you play the other guys, man. Do you think Jorge Masvidal could land that knockout shot, right? Because Usman's striking is very rudimentary. Not saying it's not effective, but it's very rudimentary. And Jorge's seen these kind of things before. He knows how to set traps. Do you think Jorge can knock out Usman tonight?
Short answer is yes. Can he? Is it within the realm of possibility? Of course it is. But Nathaniel, I have a question for you. Nathaniel here, for anybody who doesn't know, has a decent amount of grappling experience. He has a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Tell me, Nathaniel, what happens when a guy wears on you and wears on you? What happens to your gas tank, your energy levels, and, the lactic acid buildup in your muscles as the fight goes on?
Listen, man, it's one of the worst feelings in the world when you're in the cage and someone's just pressing up into you and their shoulders pressing into your solar plexus. People don't really realize how strenuous that is, but it can just take your gas tank from a full bar to zero real quick, especially when there's so much pressure of the surrounding environment of just people screaming, and now they have a full audience. But Jorge does show that he does do very well under pressure. Look at the Ben Askren fight.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, buddy. I thought you were done.
Yeah, but it's just going to say is that when a wrestler as dominant as Usman is pressing up into you, working you, changing levels, making you work and sprawl, your legs get heavy very quick. And when that happens, power decreases.
And so that's exactly where I wanted to go with that, right? Is, Nathaniel hinted at earlier that Usman seems to get stronger as the fight goes on, and that is very unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely to be the case for Jorge Masvidal in this fight, because Usman knows this, right? He's got a wealth of wrestling experience. What he's going to look to do, especially early in the fight, is to wear on Usman. He's going to push him up against the fence. He's going to look for the takedown, especially off of those low kicks. He's going to take away that distance and try to wear Masvidal down. And then as the fight goes on, that's when Usman really starts to take over. So does Jorge Masvidal have good takedown defense? Sure. Yes, he does, but it's not at the level that Kamaru Usman's offensive wrestling is. It just simply isn't. You don't get to that level. It takes a long time, especially if you were brought up as a striker, right? He was a boxer and a street fighter. He was not a wrestler by nature. And so can he knock him out? Short answer, yes. It's a fight. You can catch anybody at any time. It could even happen later in the fight, though, like Nathaniel was hinting at, the odds decrease dramatically the longer that fight goes without him finding that knockout shot. So can he do it? Yes. Do I think he's going to do it? Probably not.
I think that's you said it perfectly, because it's going to be really hard for him to actually try to get that knockout shot without presenting his hips and allowing Usman to grab hold of him and take him down. I want to say what's up to Hialeah Bread, always joining us. We appreciate you, man. What's up, man? Hope you enjoy the fights tonight. I hope you're excited, especially having our hometown Jorge Masvidal, fighting tonight. But, getting to it, Usman also said that he wanted to break Masvidal's will, and that's the reason he gave him this rematch tonight. So last thing I want to close on before we got predictions at the end of the show as always, but last thing I want to close on, and I'll let you both touch on this. Do you think Usman can break Masvidal's will? Do you think he can actually get a finish?
Can he? Yes. Look, Masvidal is a tough son of a you-know-what. He is a tough guy. It is tough to finish him. He stepped in on 6 days' notice and fought a fully, trained. Hey, look at that. Hialeah Bread's going to be there live. Good for you, man. Jealous. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah. I mean, we saw Masvidal step into that fight on 6 days' notice against Kamaru Usman, who had been preparing, right? He had been fully trained and had the benefit of a full training camp, and he was not able to finish him. And that's probably nowhere near the best version of Masvidal. Like, I expect him to be better tonight when he's fully prepared. So can Usman break his will and finish him? Sure, but I'm not betting on it. So maybe that's a little hint as to what my parlay is going to look like. But yeah, I mean, the path to victory there is for Usman to take him down, wear him down as the fight goes on, and then look to finish. He's got ferocious ground and pound, so he could finish the fight down there. But if you're a betting man, I don't really think that's the smart bet, though it's obviously not impossible.
Yeah, man. I think that's. You have anything to add on that, Nathaniel?
Look, I think he has something to prove tonight, and maybe he might actually go for that TKO finish in the later rounds. He's looking better and better every fight, and I don't see who can beat him right now. I think after Masvidal, it's the Colby situation, but I think tonight he's going to put out a statement, especially with a live audience. This guy is hungry, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to finish this fight.
Yeah, I think he wants it more this time, right? At this time, he's coming around and he has something to prove. And I think that's why this fight is actually going to be different from the last one. A lot of people think it's going to be the same exact thing from the last fight. I have to disagree. I understand that Kamaru Usman is a phenomenal fighter, that he is going to get these takedowns, and I do believe that there's a huge chance that he's going to win this fight. But to say that Jorge Masvidal is just going to go there, get pushed up against the cage, get ragdolled, and not have these explosive moments where he operates in bursts is kind of, short-sighted to say, because Masvidal has always shown that he can do things in bursts, and all it takes is a split second for him to set that trap, maybe a couple rounds ago when he knows and he gets that read, and then he operates it on it later, and he gets able to execute on it. So I think it's going to be a decently good fight. I think Masvidal is going to have a better chance than the odds say right now. I think he does have a decent chance. I think if he gets taken down, I think he's gonna get up from a couple of those takedowns. I think he's gonna be able to work off his back really well. Something I was watching with Dan Hardy, he emphasized that what Masvidal does, right, is he'll hug you tight in his guard, and he'll wait till the opponent tries to really posture up out of that guard, and then once he feels that his opponent's posturing up, he'll actually push, so that they're both pushing in that same momentum at the same time, and then he'll scramble down, right? And even if Usman's able to get a single leg, he has great single leg takedown defense, and he's able to get to the fence and keep himself up. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think one of these guys are going to get hurt. I really do think so. I think one of them might get hurt, or at least we'll see more damage in this fight than we did in the first fight. But let's move on to this co-main event. We have a phenomenal co-main event, and I think this could be, probably the fight of the night. And before we move on to that, I do want to say Masvidal won 1 week's notice versus Benson in Japan, went all 5 rounds. Very hard to break that, man. I watched that fight, man. That was a great fight. And there was something in that fight that I want to talk about as well. He hopped a guillotine that he rolled into an anaconda and kind of rolled over Masvidal and or Benson Henderson.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if when Usman goes for a single leg and he has that positioning, maybe it's 30 seconds left in the round, if he goes for that, because he was able to land that, can't remember, on somebody else as well, and then get knees from the clinch there. He has really good knees in the clinch. So going to be interesting to see if that happens. Thanks for bringing up that Benson Henderson fight. That was a great fight. But moving on to the co-main event, like I said, this could be fight of the night. Zhang Weili, the first Chinese UFC champion, taking on the former champion Thug Rose Namajunas. And these are just 2 fighters that are so exciting to watch. I mean, if you look at Zhang Weili's last fight, I think the greatest female mixed martial arts fight of all time. And it's not, I don't think it's close. I mean, you've had exciting finishes, right? You have Nunes knocking out Ronda, all these things. But as far as a back and forth war that goes 5 rounds, it's razor thin close. And maybe if, Joanna's head doesn't swell up that much, that fight looks a little bit closer. But you have a phenomenal fight in champion in Zhang Weili, and you have a great challenger in Rose Namajunas. Like I said, former challenger in this one. Nathaniel, I'll get to you on this one, man. How do you see this one? How do you break this one down?
I don't know, man. I got my girl Weili winning this fight. Probably a crazy stand-up battle, but maybe a late TKO.
Yeah, I think that's a high possibility. You were saying, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I don't know. Sorry. It's I think she's just way too strong for Rose. I think she's going to have those big power shots, and Rose is going to do very well in the beginning, but as the fight goes on, I think Weili is just going to give it to her, give more power, and then probably look for the finish.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we saw in that last fight against Joanna is that she slowed down in those, third, fourth, and she picked it up back in the 5th round. So it's going to be interesting to see if Rose uses that to her advantage, seeing that she slowed down. On the other side, it's going to be interesting to see if Zhang Weili used that as experience to understand how to go 5 hard rounds, right? Ariel, how did you break this one down when you were watching film?
I think you make a really good point there, and that fight might have been, that was the first time she ever went 5 rounds, I believe. That's the first time she ever went into championship rounds. And so maybe you can attribute that to being like part of the reason that she slowed down a little bit, in the 4th round. But you're right. She picked it up in the 5th round. That fight was insane. I rewatched that today. That fight was bananas. I was screaming at my laptop. As for this fight, Weili is special, man. She'll throw anything from any range. She's got lots of power. She absolutely smoked Jessica Andrade to win the title. She makes you think about everything, right? Like, she's just got such a varied striking arsenal. And so you have to worry about everything, the hands, the kicks, different angles, the footwork, everything, the power. Her hand speed is spectacular as well. Like I said, that fight with Joanna was amazing, but for Rose, she's got really good size, really good length for that division, really good jabs, great straight strikes, which, training under Trevor Whitman and no, does she train under Trevor Whitman? Yes. She does, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Training under Trevor Whitman and with Pat Barry, her fiance and all that. I mean, like, they have her striking so on point. She's also really good on the ground. Key for her, to me, is which Rose shows up, right? Because when Rose is in the right headspace and she brings her A game, she is as good as anybody. She can beat any woman in that division. But again, that's the question with her, is does she bring her A game? Does she make little mental mistakes? When she got slam KO'd in the first Andrade fight, I believe it was, she had made a minor error, right? She had grabbed onto, I think it was a Kimura. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, the Kimura as Andrade was lifting her up. And if she had let go of that, she wouldn't have landed on her head, as DC was pointing out on the broadcast, right? So, she kind of sometimes fights like a young, inexperienced fighter, though she's not particularly inexperienced. She also doesn't have a ton of experience. I think she has like 13 pro fights, right? So with her, all the tools are there. She has the ability to be the best fighter in any fight on any given night. Question is, does that fighter show up? Is she able to keep this fight at distance, work her jab and her really good straight strikes? And she has to be very careful with the counters, because Weili has some serious power and she loves to throw counters. She's extremely adaptable in that she can lead the dance and she can follow the dance. So it's going to be a dangerous fight for Rose. But yeah, you're right, Johnathan. This fight has all the makings of a potential amazing fight.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, both fighters, the good thing about this division, and a lot of people say, they don't really have knockout power. They do have that knockout power if you hit them in the right button, right? But they're able to take these shots and they know that they can eat some of these shots. So they'll walk forward, they'll take some of these punches, and then they'll go forward. But getting to Jansen's point, as far that Rose knocked out Joanna, Weili couldn't knock out Joanna. I think Weili saw a better version of Joanna, and I think Joanna was still mastering her weight cut as well, right? So that's something that goes into effect with that chin. So, I mean, in the rematch, I think the rematch with Joanna, they went 5 rounds with Rose. So it showed that that chin was able to hold up a little bit better after she mastered that weight cut. I do agree that's a great point, and I was thinking that as well, but the transitive property doesn't work out in UFC, right?
Doesn't work in sports. Doesn't work anywhere in sports.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work out in sports. But I do, 100% agree. As far as
I didn't say she has no experience, Jansen. I just said that she's not tremendously experienced. She only has 13 pro fights. That's all I'm saying.
14, but like you said, that's not a ton yet, and she's still young, right? Born in 92. That's 20? She's still on the younger age of 30. She's had some time off, and I'll agree. I really think she lost that Andrade fight. Just to be honest with you, I think she lost that Andrade fight. But getting into the striking battle of these two, I wanted to talk about what I think. How that's going to match up, because Weili has really, really good combinations, right? She'll enter and she'll throw that 1-2, and then she has that nice left hook, and then she sometimes will finish with the low kick as well. And I really like with the way she does that. And she'll also counter the low kick with that straight right. She has a really good straight right that she just fires right down the middle, and she uses it in tandem with her head movement. She has great head movement as well. She will eat some shots, but at that division, you're not bound to get knocked out entering the pocket as much as maybe like a welterweight, a heavyweight, etc. So I think her striking is really going to be an advantage. But I think for Rose, where it's going to come down for her is going to make sure that the footwork is on pace, because she's good at controlling lateral footwork side to side, right? She's able to corner her opponent really well. And Weili has that good, front to back footwork. So it's going to be interesting to see how the footwork works with these two athletes, because they're so, it's going to be a really good dance between the both of them. But getting into just the how I think, and I'll take Rose's side for this, how I think Rose can win this fight. I think she's going to have to wear Weili down, right? In her wins, she gets a takedown or more. In her losses, she doesn't get quite as many takedowns. So I think for her, getting a takedown or two, in the first or second round, just to wear her out, do a little bit more to her. Because like what Nathaniel said, grappling probably, does a lot more when your blood fills or your muscles fill up with blood. It wears you out a lot quicker than maybe just throwing hands and bouncing around. So if she's able to do that, get some top position, I think that's going to be her key to winning this fight. Nathaniel, or I'll let both of you guys get to this one. How do you think Weili gets it done? Because you said, you thought Weili was going to win.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be another stand-up war. I don't see them both either one of them going for the takedown or trying to go for the ground and pound or anything like that. So I think it's going to be a very technical striking match. And I think just Weili was tested so much with Joanna, and you guys are talking about her cardio kind of declined in those later rounds, the 3 and 4, and then it came back in the 5th. I think it's hard to use that as an argument, because that fight was just an outright war the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So she was really tested probably in the deepest layers of her mind, and she came out of it. So I don't think cardio was an issue. That being said, I think in the later rounds, that's when Weili's really going to shine, because she's been there now. She knows what it feels like to feel tired, to feel destroyed, and then come back and come with a dominant finish. So that's why I don't know how Rose will respond to that kind of power later on in the rounds. I'm anticipating a nice TKO finish in the 4th round. Whoa, you heard it here.
Ooh, damn. Yeah, I'm really back and forth on this fight. Like, I'm not going to make my prediction now, but I don't know. Like, I could literally see either of them finishing the fight. To me, again, what it boils down to, like I said earlier, is if Rose brings her A game, she is so well-rounded. She can do a variety of different things in the fight game. She's not limited to just striking. I think you made a really good point, Johnathan, in that, she's very good at controlling the distance and getting in and out in striking range. She's a very good striker. She has phenomenal coaching. But I find that a lot of the time, her in and out movement, mistakes are made, and she'll back up with her hands down and whatnot. And you can, dude, Weili is a spectacular striker. Technically, she's one of the best in the world. And so that's an area that, Rose really has to be sure that is cleaned up in this fight, because Weili will get the timing down. She'll pick up on the tendencies and the rhythm, and she'll catch her at some point, and that's going to be very, very dangerous. So I don't know. My pick on this fight is trending more towards where the betting lines are. But it's a tough one to pick. If you had tried to pick the Joanna and Weili fight, that's a 50-50 fight. That fight was razor thin. I still don't know who won that fight. I have no idea. I've watched it twice now. I have no idea who won that fight. So look, if Rose brings her A game, I feel like we might get something similar to that, because she can stand there and trade with Weili similarly to how Joanna did. So I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm excited. I think this might be the best fight of the night.
Yeah, I think the volume is going to be there. I think you have two phenomenal strikers. I think the grappling, getting to Jansen Poyer's point, asking if the grappling or if Weili has shown anything on the ground. She did have that one submission over Jessica Aguilar where she jumped the triangle and then she switched it to kind of like an armbar and she got it like that. We haven't really seen Weili on her back because she has 100% takedown defense. She's never been taken down, right? So that's another question. And is she going to be able to take her down? Because at these weights, they're so flexible and they're so malleable. They can just get out of these positions and scramble a little bit quicker. So it's going to be interesting to see if she's able to even keep her on the ground if she gets taken down. Shout out Jermaine King. Appreciate you joining us, saying, let's not forget Usman was wobbled in the Burns fight. But he was able to recover because Burns lied on his back. That's true. That's true. And it's interesting. That's a good point, because all it takes is one and you. That's all I'm gonna say. and for Jansen Boyer's second point, saying Joanna and Weili both stood in the pocket and exchanged blows in a phone booth. Rose is more cerebral in my opinion. She won't stay in the pocket. That's a good point. And what Ariel said, right? Training with Trevor Whitman, she's gonna have that game plan. She's gonna know not to go in a war with Weili, with one of the best strikers in that, probably the best striker in that division, if not Rose. No, I think it's Joanna. I don't know. Who is the best striker in that division? Real quick question.
Did that last fight tell you anything? I have no idea. Who can say? She's up there though. She's spectacular. There's no debate. So,
phenomenal strikers, right? So I think it's going to be a fun fight. And I like you said, I think it might be a little more cerebral than as much as a war. It'll be a little more mental. There'll be a lot more mental in that fight going up. But there's also one more title fight coming up, right? And this is an exciting one because this is the biggest test for Valentina Shevchenko. She's taking on Jessica Andrade, who's fought the who's who of the women's division, regardless of weight, right? She's fought, she fought Rose before. I'm trying to pull up her last fight real quick to see who she had. But Caitlin Chikagi, and she knocked out with that beautiful body punch. But she fought Rose. She fought Zhang Weili in that fight. She lost. Fought Tisha Torres, Claudia Gadelia, fought Joanna, Angela Hill, a lot of good fighters that she's been fighting. And she's still on the other side of 30 years old. She's still behind. She's not 30 just yet. So for all the experience that she has, she's still, not 100% in that prime just yet, or if not entering it right now, right? But let's get to you, Ariel, man. How did you break this one down?
Another great fight, man. I can't believe we've got a third title fight. This card's ridiculous. Yeah, Valentina's another spectacular striker. Phenomenal, counter right hand, great straight left from the southpaw stance. She's got a wide array of different kicks that she uses both for power and for distance control. So it's kind of hard to time what or to guess what, how hard is this kick coming at me? I don't know, because it's either, half the time it's really hard and half the time she's just trying to keep you where she wants you to be. She has elite footwork. Phenomenal precision. She'll mix in takedowns. She's got decent top control on the ground. If you let her get comfortable and set her striking rhythm, though, you're in big trouble. This is like Andrade is more of a berserker, right? She's not supremely technical, but she hits hard. She has a tendency to sometimes kind of wade in recklessly. And I think that's tremendously dangerous against a fighter and a striker of the caliber of Valentina Shevchenko. But Andrade is the former strawweight champion. She's a beast, very strong, has a very, very hard low kick. She throws that off of opponents' jabs. Would be smart in this case for her. The path to victory is to muck this fight up, take away the distance from Valentina. Who was Valentina's last fight? Remind me real quick, because I think that was what happened to her in that fight a little. Was it Maya?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the Maya fight.
Jennifer Maya?
Yes.
Yeah. So she had had a little bit of success in that fight by kind of eliminating the distance between them and getting her up against the fence, where you even saw her work in some takedowns. So I think for Andrade, that's the recipe to victory here, because if you stay at distance with Valentina, you're dead in the water.
100%. You're shaking your head, Nathaniel. You agree with him?
I'm 100% on board with him, but I would say that the key to this fight is footwork, and Valentina's footwork is, if not the best, one of the best in the entire UFC. I've never seen anyone move the way she moves, especially even after her victories, her little crazy, beautiful dance. That's just a demonstration of how great she is on her feet. I don't see this fight. I don't see her losing this fight. I think I'm just looking briefly at her past like 7-8 fights, and her only loss is Amanda Nunes. And come on, Amanda Nunes is the best of the best right now. Yeah. So this is just a dominant fighter right now, and I think she's going to just do what she does best, move, throw some heavy shots, and keep on moving. And it's just going to be a puzzle a puzzle that can't be solved tonight. Actually,
yeah, tonight, right? It's already here.
It's crazy.
I'm gonna rebuttal that with this, and I have a question for you. Which one of these female athletes do you think had the hardest 5 last fights? I'll give you Shevchenko's, right? She had Maya, Chikagian, Carmouche, Jessica I, and then Joanna Jacek. Mm-hmm. And then for Andrade, she had Chikagian, Namajunas, Weili, Namajunas, Kowalkis. Can't remember how to say that name, but last 5. Who do you think had the harder last 5 as far as the path coming into this fight?
It's an easy one, right? I mean, it's Andrade.
Yes,
he's fought better fighters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Nathaniel,
I agree with you, but that's not going to change the fact.
I mean,
doesn't change the fact, buddy.
I'm a Valentina fan. That's why I'm just super biased over here. Sorry, everyone.
You're good,
hey, welcome to the show, Gad.
Yeah, appreciate you waking up, Gad. It's 4 o'clock, so this is the perfect time to wake up on fight night, because you're already just an hour and a half away before these fights get started, right? But Valentina said, or Jansen said, Valentina spoke fluent Spanish during the fighter press conference. He were pleasantly surprised. Valentina is a woman of many attributes. If you listen to Joe Rogan on the podcast, I'm sure he's going to bring up the guns and the shooting of Valentina, right? Her nickname is Bullet for a reason. And let's get to Jessica Andrade's nickname, because I want to give her a chance in this fight, because I really do think that she has the ability to get this fight. And her nickname, right, Bate Escada or Estaca, it means pile driver in Portuguese.
Very fitting.
Which is 100% fitting, because she dropped Rose on her head, and she got that nickname because she does that, and that's how she does her takedowns, right? There's nothing pretty about what Jessica Andrade does. She goes there, she mucks the fight up, she'll run like a bull, and then, dip her head down and then go with that overhand right. What's up, Cap for Life, man? Appreciate you joining with us. It's time to put up or ship out. Let me know who you guys got in the main event. I'm curious to see who you guys got, Masvidal, Usman, and all the fights, actually. Just let me know in the comments who you guys got. But I
feel like he's talking heat, but he's got a dolphin in there. I'm very confused, Cap. We need more. We need some explanation.
We need some clarity. Oh, what's up, Crypta? Appreciate you joining us, man. Thanks for joining us as well. But for Jessica Andrade, I think that the ability to win this fight is absolutely there. Looking at just some of the stats, she averages three takedowns every 15 minutes, which comes out over the course of a 5-round fight. That's a takedown every round, right? And 57% on a takedown accuracy. If she'll shoot for 2, she'll get 1. The key for her, like you said, is going to be mucking up this fight, making it a dirty fight, making it not technical, doing kind of like what we've seen happen with some strikers recently, right? We saw that Adesanya, going up against Jan, he was able just to use that power to keep Adesanya back, regardless of how good Adesanya was as a striker. That power was the neutralizer, and Andrade has that power. And on top of that power, she has that ability to take you down as well. So she's definitely a live dog in this fight, and I think this is going to be another phenomenal fight. We just have three crazy fights, and actually, I want to get to
tremendous.
Jansen saying George to avenge the loss. Yes, my guy. Gad saying thoughts on the Adesanya fight that was announced. I don't know if you guys heard. Yep. Adesanya is facing Marvin Vettori in June. Two UFCs from now, right? 63, I believe. Yeah, Rob got robbed.
So real quick, let me ask you, Johnathan, is the reason for that matchup being made that it's too quick a turnaround for Bobby Knuckles? Because I do think that he's a guy who deserves that fight, if we're being real.
That's the only thing that I was thinking, right? I know that he said, or that Rob said in an early interview, early 2021, that he wants to fight March or April, and then he wants to take some fights off. I'm not sure if he's having a baby or if he just wants to spend some time with his family, but that's what I was thinking maybe is the only reason, because Rob deserves that fight. He just beat everybody they put in front of him, right? I'm 100% sure he would have beat Paulo Costa, right? He beat Darren Till, and then he also beat what's that dude's name?
Who are we talking about?
The guy with the crystals. What'd you say?
I don't know. I'm confused.
You guys in the comments, let me know who Adesanya said that he was next. He said that he was next, and then Robert goes there and plays spoiler against that. Remind me who he fought. But he fought that guy as well. So he's beaten everybody, and then he beat Gelva Gastelum. And Brian Young saying he's terrified of Vittori, man. I don't think who's not. He's kind of psycho. He has a little bit of psycho in his eyes, so it's a little bit of scary about that. Ayan Ali, appreciate you joining us, man. You're always commenting on the video saying you don't know shit about UFC, but I'll watch. Hey, if you like watching people get punched in the face, if you liked people getting paid to separate the other person from their consciousness, I mean, it's a pretty fun thing to watch, right? Paulo Lipstick Costa, Cannonier, Jared Cannonier. Yes, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, that Jared Cannonier, he pieced him up and he almost finished him in that.
You see that comment? God.
Oh man,
my God.
Yeah. But Crypto asking me if Ocho Cinco was after asking George questions. I did see that. I was watching the press conference live, and I didn't know it was Ocho. Like when I hear the names, I know John Morgan is always going to ask the first question, and then I also look out for Jose Young because he's a good reporter as well. But outside of that, don't really pay attention to too many names. And then I see Jorge ask Dana, he's like, "Is that Ocho Cinco?" And then Dana's like, "Yeah, that's Ocho Cinco." And it's like Chad was like asking Jorge Masvidal, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna need to look you in your eye, and you're gonna need to tell me, because I'm from Miami and I need to bet on you. I need you to tell me that I can bet on you and that you're a lock." And Masvidal said, "Man to man, soul to soul, I'm gonna get this win." So, hey, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really, really interesting.
Ocho's about to lose some money.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Hey, maybe not. Who knows? I mean, really, who knows? Because Masvidal's crafty, man. Why does Leon Edwards' last loss comes to a 2-piece and a biscuit? No respect at 1-70. Might lose weight. I agree, right? He's not getting any respect. They already pre-announced that Covington is going to get the fight, and I understand he knocked out Welli, but like, come on, even Vicente Luque knocked out Woodley, right? It's showing that Woodley is not that same fighter anymore. And don't get me wrong, Vicente Luque is one of my favorite fighters. He knocks out, I think, almost all of his fights except 2 guys, right? But it just shows that Woodley isn't that guy anymore. So I agree with you, Cap for life, 100%. Jansen Poyer saying Usman must be depressed because he's always booed and villainized at every card. Dude, I thought that was hilarious. I'm so happy that the crowd's back, and it's going to be a lot of fun getting to this. Yeah, Crypto, I agree with George and Ocho speaking to each other. Where does he go? Brian Young, dude, Masvidal is almost Conor McGregor level star, right? If he loses, he doesn't have as much to lose. He has a lot less to lose than Kamaru Usman. Usman has a lot more to lose in this fight. And, if George wins, it's just more shine on his star. If Usman loses, then you lose that something that the belt for him was the draw, because Usman without the belt.
Yeah, he's already not a very big draw anyways. That's why they've got to stack his cards with like 2 other title fights and a bunch of other bangers on the card. So
I don't know why that is, because he's such a great and exciting fighter.
Because it's not appealing to the casual fan, right? Like his style is not like, to us, to hardcore fans. Like, we love watching the technicality with which he just breaks guys down and dominates the grappling and dominates the fight in just about every area, right? Like, he'll do better in the striking department because you're so worried about the takedown and the wrestling and the clinch. And so to us, that's, a lot of fun to watch. But to a casual fan who, you don't really want to watch, it's like watching an NBA game, a really grinded out, like 90 to 89 game. Like, if you're not a fan of defense, that game sucks. So it's kind of like that.
Exactly. And he's able to slow things down, right? It's almost like watching the football team that has a really good run game with no pass game. It's just going to be watching the same thing over and over, rinse and repeat. Hey, but made it work. Jermaine King saying he's going with Jorge in the 3rd round. TKO. Crypto saying he wants to see Jorge versus George so bad. I was watching the Benson Henderson fight, right? And Covington was in the back, like slapping Jorge, getting his muscles ready before the fight. So it was really funny to see that interaction, before all the drama happened between them two. And I don't know if it's, I'm like 95% sure it's real, because I don't think Masvidal is the guy that's the fake beef just for the camera, right? But hey, who knows, right? That's going to be a fun one. As saying Usman's draw is like T. Woodley, not a lot of interest with mainstream fans. I agree. But moving on to these last two fights on the card real quick, we're just going to give you a real quick breakdown of it, right? We have Jimmy Crute. Actually, before that, I think we have Chris Weidman taking on Uriah Hall. Ariel, I want you to just give me a quick breakdown of this fight and who do you think's going to get the dub?
Hall's a spectacular fighter, right? Like a spectacular striker, rather. He can knock you out in a variety of ways. We've seen him knock dudes like where you think they're dead. We saw that on The Ultimate Fighter where I don't remember who it was that he knocked out, but with that spinning wheel kick, like that is one of the scariest knockouts I've ever seen in my life. Kind of a mercurial type of fighter, right? Like it's kind of not quite like Rose, but like it's a matter of, does he bring his A game? Is he in the right headspace? If he is, he's devastating. Like he is extremely dangerous. Chris Weidman, former middleweight champion, really, really good wrestler, has good hands, has struggled over his last 7 fights. I think he's been finished via KO or TKO in 5 of those last 7 fights. So for him, it's going to be a matter of not giving Uriah Hall any space to get any of that spectacular shit off, because if it does, or if he does, you know, he might be going to sleep. That chin hasn't looked great lately. So for him, you know, close the distance, get the takedown, smother Hall on the ground. That's the path to victory. Are we doing picks now? Are we doing picks in a minute?
Oh, you can give it away. We'll do picks in a minute. Okay,
well, I'll give it away in a minute then.
Okay, cool. Getting to the Jimmy Crute Anthony Smith fight, right? Anthony Smith, I think, going on his 51st UFC or not UFC, but mixed martial arts fight. Dude has had a lot of things happen in his career. He's had a guy break into his house. He could have won the fight against John Jones, and he elected not to, and he elected to lose that fight. And you know, unfortunate for him, you know. But Nathaniel, I'll get to you on this one, man. What do you see from that fight, just real quick?
I don't know, man. This is going to be a good one too, but I just don't see Anthony Smith coming out with the win here. I think his past few performances, well, actually, ever since the John Jones fight, it just kind of declined. Maybe his soul got broken, or he's just not the same confidence he used to have. But it looks like he's kind of coming to the end of his career. It's unfortunate. I've been a big fan of him for years, but he just hasn't looked his best.
Yeah, I mean, although he's a warrior, right? It just showed, especially in that Sheriff fight, that he's just on the downhill thing. But I want to get to our picks real quick, right? Because everybody's here now. I think it's time that we get to our championship fight predictions. So let's get to it. Ariel, I'll start with you, man. All 3 fights. Let's start with those 3. Who do you think is walking out? And still or and new?
And still, Kamaru Usman. I'm sorry, guys. I want Jorge Masvidal to win this fight. I think he is a live dog, but that dog is barely alive. Like, that dog is 15 years old and really like having all kinds of problems. That's how I see it. Listen, we're on here because disagreeing is fun, and one of us gets to look stupid and one of us gets to look right. I've got Kamaru Usman via decision. For the Weili fight versus Rose Namajunas, that's a tough one to pick. I'm going to go Rose Namajunas. I think she brings her A game. I think she has a variety of avenues with which she can win the fight. If she can get the fight to the ground, I think that's another possibility. So I'm going to go with Rose, but that is a razor thin fight. I am not confident either way. And then as for Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade, got to go with Bullet Valentina. She's too good. Andrade is a beast, but Valentina is just, I think, another level in terms of how technical she is. Johnathan's losing his mind. I want to hear what he thinks.
Well, before I get to mine, I'm going to let Nathaniel go. You can go ahead and give me your picks, brother. Give me your championship fight predictions.
Let's do it. I'm going to start from the bottom top. I think Valentina is just going to win this fight. She's just going to dominant fashion. I'm super excited to see what she can do. Weili, my girl, she's got this. This is going to be another great fight. This is what you guys were talking about. This could be a main event in its own. It's going to be insane to watch. And this is a fight where you just don't blink. And now I'm just going to do a little switch around at the top here. I'm going to go with Jorge Masvidal for the upset. Just because your audience has been such a fan of Jorge, I got to pull some of them to my podcast. So I'm going to sign up with these guys.
You panderer.
Look, the reality is I really believe Usman's going to take it, but I'm just going to go with the upset because why not?
He's having a feeling from his pineal gland. It's just pure belief filtering from the universe into his soul, and he's getting the Jorge Masvidal vibes right now. Getting into my fights, I'm going to start bottom up as well. I'm going to go Jessica Andrade. I'm going to take the upset. I think this is the hardest fight outside of Amanda Nunes that Valentina Shevchenko has faced, and I think she has a big chance to muck up this fight, take it to the ground, and get it done. She's a powerful person. She has that one punch knockout ability. And I think if she takes it down and she's able to drop the guard of Valentina Shevchenko, she's going to be able to drop her and use those hands. Like I said, she's a phenomenal mind in MMA. I think Andrade is highly underappreciated, highly underrated, even though for her accomplishments that she has, I think she can get it done. Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili. I'm going to have to go with Zhang Weili. I think her hands are a little bit faster. Don't get me wrong. Rose has great hands, but the hand speed, the combinations, the ability to use that in tandem with her footwork and with her head movement, 100% takedown defense. I'm going to have to go with Zhang Weili. And going into that main event, I'm going to go with Jorge Masvidal. I'm going to say that he gets it done. Look, I'm not going to say that Usman's not going to go there and crotch sniff for 5 rounds, right? I'm going to steal off of our boy Jansen, because Jansen did say that comment, so I appreciate that comment, right? He might go there and he might crotch sniff. He might go for those double leg takedowns. He might go, and by the end of the night, he might have some gooch stink on the back of his head from Jorge Masvidal's nuts. But I'm going to take Jorge Masvidal. I think the striking is too rudimentary of Usman. We saw him get hurt in that last fight against Burns, and Burns made the mistake of becoming too enthusiastic after hurting him to get that fight and wasn't able to get it done like how he wants to. If Masvidal lands one shot like what Burns does, Usman's not getting up this time. I'm gonna take Jorge Masvidal. I think he gets it done by knockout.
Looks like Brian and I are in this boat alone. Let's go, Usman.
So, hey, I think there's a lot of different ways to go. I mean, I think the crowd's going to be firmly behind Masvidal as well, and that might play something to do too, right? Because Usman is mentally strong, but when you have 2 fights and there isn't any crowds, maybe that's something that affects you a little bit more, right? So, hey, I do have to give credit to Kamaru Usman, right? The firstborn African UFC championship, and I think if he loses this fight or wins this fight, no matter what, there needs to be a UFC Africa. There needs to be Francis Ngannou in there. There needs to be Israel Adesanya, and there needs to be Kamaru Usman. That's going to be a phenomenal card. And Sadiq Youssef, Super Sadiq Youssef. He's a phenomenal fighter as well. Real quick, you guys have what's your picks on the last 2? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Uriah Hall, and I'm going to take Jimmy Crute by this one. What do you say, Ariel?
I've got it the exact same way. I'm going Uriah Hall, Jimmy Crute.
I got Uriah Hall, Anthony Smith. Oh, sorry, no, Crute. My fault. My fault. Same with you guys.
Nice. As always, guys, appreciate you guys in the comments. You guys made this a lot more fun. Thank you all for jumping in. Kryptonite, Brian, Gad, thank you guys as always. Cap for life, our boy Hialeah Bread, Jermaine. I think I got her. Dan Shoes as well, right? So thank you, everybody. Yeah. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
we love you. Let's do parlays quick.
Yeah, let's get into our parlays. What's your parlay, Ariel?
I'm going Usman by decision. Usman is a -380 favorite to win the fight, but if you take him by decision, that goes down to -130. I think that is relatively easy money. Rose plus was 175. I think that fight is extremely close, but I think Rose is almost as likely to win this fight, if not more likely than her opponents. So plus 175, I'm going to take that all day, every day. And then I'm going Uriah Hall plus 125. I don't see him as an underdog in this fight. I don't think Chris Weidman has that chin anymore. And I think Uriah Hall will find it and win the fight.
Do you have a parlay for tonight, Nathaniel?
Well, let's just put it out there. Let's do Weili by decision, Valentina just to win, and Jorge Masvidal by TKO. Let's go.
That's going to get you some nice money. Hey, Kryptonite, UFC and Heat tonight. It's going to be great.
Oh, the Heat play tonight?
Yeah, so we got pregame. Probably won't be on postgame, guys, unfortunately, because that's going to be the time for the main event. But I'll probably be on pregame. But for mine, I'm going to take Crute, I'm going to take Hall, and I'm going to take Zhang Weili, because I think the Shevchenko fight is a little dangerous, and I think the Usman fight's a little bit dangerous. I think those fights are less of a locks. I like Zhang Weili in this fight a lot, and I think she gets it done. Any closing thoughts before we get finished here today?
Nathaniel, you wanna plug your podcast?
Yes. Where can people find you?
Your audience, from the comments, they look like a cool group of people. So hit us up at Curious Chimps Podcast. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Curious Chimps, website, CuriousChimps.com. We're on YouTube also, all over the place. We're not really talking about mixed martial arts per se, but we're talking about psychedelics and all that fun stuff. So if you guys want to blow your minds a little bit, come check us out.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Actually, I want everybody in the comments to leave your Twitter handle and stuff as well. So me and Ariel, we can make sure that we follow you guys back. All right, you guys are always in here showing us love, so we appreciate you guys as always. Leave your Twitter handles. Just comment it out real quick so we can make sure we follow you guys.
Or just follow us. We'll follow you right back.
100%. Ariel, any closing thoughts?
Good to go, buddy. Can't wait for tonight. Let's do it.
Hey, phenomenal fight. We got Miami's very own Jorge Masvidal taking on Kamaru Usman in the main event. Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili, and then we got Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. 3 title fights tonight. Make sure you have your Biscayne Bay Brewing. We're not sponsored by them just yet, but hey, who knows? Maybe one day, right? But I want to thank everybody in the comments too for checking us in, right? Thank you guys as always. Thanks for checking out Walkouts and Knockouts, brought to you by the 5 Reasons Sports Network. For all your LSD psychedelic talk, check out Curious Chimps and our guy Nathaniel. Thank you, Ariel, as always, for joining us. I'm Johnathan Ramlakan, aka 3-Piece Combo, a la Jorge Masvidal, and I hope you guys have a great night and enjoy the fights.